And we're back once again, making Earth not suck again. Showing you the most detailed imagery you'll find any place on the internet, the most comprehensive space weather in the world. It's the Smash News Network, least busted name of news, and welcome to the Daily Space Weather. This is SDO's colorized magnetogram looking at polarized light to show us magnetic field activity. We've got a number of sunspots here, some needing names like this new group right here. And there's also some sunspots down here that are not yet named. We'll get into it. Here's the intensity gram. You can see some of those new sunspots growing there right around the Earth-facing portion of the solar disk. Some sunspots evaporating up here and some new ones forming up here. So there's another group that needs a name. And here's the 171 plus colorized magnetogram imagery. And let's take a brief look at volcanoes. Looks like a little bit of an uptick here in volcanic activity. Shiveluch, producing a flight level 140 on the Kamchatka Peninsula. It's a 14,000-foot ash plume. Abiko, 9,000-foot ash plume from Abiko, flight level 090 over Paramushir Island. Sakurajima exploded, produced a 7,000-foot ash plume. Suwanosejima exploded. Unknown volcanic ash plume size. Don't fly your hang glider over Suwanosejima. Mount Ibu, flight level 070 there from Mount Ibu. And Merapi may be fixing for an explosion here. There has been some tilt meter measured inflation happening around the summit of the volcano. Also some seismic activity there caused by hydrothermal activity. So it could be another eruption about to happen there at Merapi on central Java, Indonesia. Semeru on East Java, Indonesia, exploding, flight level 140. 14,000-foot ash plume from Semeru. Now headed to Mexico. Popocatépetl exploding. 20,000-foot ash plume from Popocatépetl. And Fuego producing some lahars. Lahars are dangerous mud flows, as there has been some excessive rain happening there. And some precautions need to be taken around Sanitza and Plantanares rivers as they threaten to overflow. Clay-sized particles can pick up material as a part of those lahars. Headed down to Colombia, Nevado del Ruiz exploding, 20,000-foot ash plume from Nevado del Ruiz over Colombia. Sangay in Ecuador, volcanic ash emission has Ed. Volcanic emissions ended, I guess is what that means. That's short for ended. They removed the N for your convenience. And Sabancaya exploding, flight level 260. It's a 26,000-foot ash plume over Peru. Please don't pole vault the caldera. And looking at seismic activity for the last 90 days, it's pretty much an earthquake drought here. Only one 7-magnitude quake. That's quite a low number there over the 90-day period. Largest quake of the past 24 was this 5.7 at the South Sandwich Islands region. That happened at 12:14 Universal Time yesterday. Pretty calm, seismically speaking. Not a lot of quakes. There was a 5.0 in Chile, though. East Pacific Rise saw a 5.5. That's the second largest quake of the past 24. That came in just a few hours ago here at 6:07 Universal Time today on September 7th. Wednesday, September 7th. And let's get back to the realm of space, the main feature here at the Smash News Network, least busted name in news. And by the way, congratulations on realizing the channel exists. Here's the last 24 in 304 angstroms. Now, some of you may be very frightened by this, as there is a lightning bolt-shaped active region here. See this lightning bolt-shaped region? That may be very spooky to you. I'm not sure. We streamed it for a long time yesterday. We'll talk about it a little bit later in the video. Radio flux is now at 126 solar flux units. If you're wondering what a solar flux unit is, it is 10,000 joules of radio flux density. That image there is showing the last 1 year. And the radio flux is the proportional set of data that we have to sunspot number. Sunspot number goes up, radio flux goes up. That's just the way it works. Besides sunspot number, it's the best indication of solar activity in terms of sunspot cycles and so on. Space Weather Enthusiast dashboard here. Not forecasting a lot. We are expecting a possible CME strike early in the day to midday tomorrow. So tomorrow on the 8th, expecting a CME strike, a glancing blow, just a minor diffuse bit of plasma we're expecting to hit based on the coronagraph data we saw on the 5th. And we do still have an elevated solar wind here from a coronal hole high-speed stream. Next, Earth's magnetic moment from space for the past 4 hours. This model shows magnetohydrodynamic pressure, and the units there is nanopascals. So that's the last 4 hours of Earth's magnetic moment from space. Pretty steady here in terms of the solar wind for the past 24 hours. Here's Earth's magnetic moment from the ground. Also the last 4 hours, the scale here, nanotesla. Magnetic flux density. Geospace delta B is a reference to changes to Earth's B field. The B field is the field that goes through the magnet, with this magnet being Earth. And we'll let that play through to get a full 4-hour run as it refreshed. And part of the reason we show this data is because it's not available in archive form, at least not yet. And these images, as well as Earth's geomagnetic moment from space, are courtesy of University of Michigan. Details about the Space Weather Modeling Framework are available under the Details tab at the bottom of the page. KP index down to 3. We may see this rise back to geomagnetic unrest conditions here again, as we just saw a shift in the magnetic field. So the K index is a measurement of global magnetism, geomagnetism. KP3 is the current state of affairs. And because of this strong negative BZ signal right here, we may see this go back to geomagnetic unrest conditions. We may see KP4 come back here, because that's a pretty strong negative BZ signal there. So the vertical component of the magnetic field shifted. We see quite a steady solar wind speed and density here over the past 24 hours. Current conditions are just under 10 protons per cubic centimeter for the solar wind density, and about 550 kilometers per second for the solar wind speed. There are the GOES magnetometers for the past 3 days. This time seeing a little bit higher highs and higher lows. And it's time to look at the heliospheric current sheet. So the top view ecliptic plane field plot shows us the polarity of the plasma. And thanks for leaving comments. Tinman1057, good morning to you as well. And let me address this other comment here. Jules Designs 1208 says, did a sunspot 1039 that's already went on the backside of the sun produce a halo on? I think so. It is on SDO. Sunspot 1039, that would have been many years ago. We're in the 3000s for sunspot numbers. at the moment. I think you mean 3088. And yes, we do think that it did indeed produce a halo, but it looked like some of the ejecta was headed toward Earth. It could be because some of the ejecta is headed toward stereo A, but the coronagraph is the coronagraph, and we have to interpret the data that we see as legit. So there is a South Pole current sheet headed this way. We may see delays in the South Pole current sheet's arrival, depending on how much activity we see in the north, and we do see some. We also see some changes happening here with the solar polar fields. That is a feature of solar cycle 25's progression. The north solar polar field still hanging around the north heliographic polar region. So here's our line of sight field plot. The sun's B field shown here in blue. And let's move to coronal holes. There's a coronal hole imagery. We see some South Pole oriented coronal holes here rotating mainly in the northeast. And the current high-speed solar wind and auroras that we've seen were caused by this coronal hole right here, rotating off of the western limb. That is a North Pole-oriented coronal hole. This is the 211 angstroms wavelength from SDO. That's one of the species of ionized iron. And we can expect to see this coronal hole over here get a lot more well-defined in the coming days. And let's move to sunspots. So we've got some sunspots that need names. 3097 up here. 3098, I think, down here. So we'll see the sunspot number rise a little bit today. Also, I think we'll definitely see the radio flux rise again today as well. So that's your forecast for sunspots and radio flux. Let's take a look. We'll zoom in here at non-colorized magnetogram, SDO magnetogram. So you'll see this new group forming down here. And let's also look at that in continuum. So we got a sunspot down here that needs a name. We got three new named groups. One here, one up here, and one here. So an increase in sunspot number, likely increase in the radio flux, and an increase in the flare probability also. As a result of all those new sunspots, all the new groups are beta gamma class sunspot groups. They are magnetically complex with both polarity fields. And here's the zoom out just to show the full disk view. And continuing on to solar flaring. So solar flaring has been diminishing here over the past 3 days. Again, likelihood of flares goes up a bit with these new sunspot groups. They're all magnetically complex beta gamma class sunspot groups. We haven't seen any spikes in the proton flux here. It's been quite a long time since we've had a proton event. And we've brought up a composite series of images here from SDO. That's 1700 plus 94 angstroms. It looks like we may be likely to see some flares from this area down here. And also this area in the north. Let's subtract the 1700 angstroms. Here's 94 angstroms alone. This and 131 are the best wavelengths to view solar flares from SDO. They have a higher temporal resolution of 10 images per minute instead of only 2 images per minute. And let's continue on. So here's a star chart. If you're up before dawn, you may see Venus, Mars, and Jupiter up there near the ecliptic as the morning planetary pile-up views continue. Also seeing Cygnus setting there. The most intrinsically bright object visible from our solar system is the tail of the swan. That star right there, the X-ray binary known as Deneb. It consists of a supermassive blue giant Wolf-Rayet star being orbited by an even more massive compact object known as Cygnus X3. You want to read about it, head to smashomash.com/forum and the Cosmology Forum, smashomash.com/forum. You can read all about Deneb. It's also the celestial pole star at the other end of the earthly precessional cycle. Next, a solar system forecast. This is where things are now. We've got a gibbous waxing moon. Only a couple days from full moon here. Let's advance this 1 week. As Venus gets lonely on the opposite side of the solar system, all 8 planets, all the other planets, all 8 of them, besides Venus, are on this side. And there's where we'll be in a week. We will have a gibbous waning moon by the 14th. We've got some coronagraph imagery here for you next. That is yesterday. It's pretty uneventful here. Nothing exciting happening on coronagraphs. Here's today. We've got very limited images, just 3 frames there. So let's go to the Soho-Lascaux C3 located here at Lagrange 1 and the Soho-Lascaux C2. We're not going to show you Stereo A today because the data from Stereo A is older than many members of Congress. So anyway, that's the situation from Lagrange point 1, the Soho-Lascaux C2 and C3 coronagraphs, and let's show a different view here. This is the past 24 hours. In composite, it also shows the 304 angstroms. I like it better. I like it better than the other one. That's the last 24 hours. Things pretty chill as far as coronal mass ejections. Next, looking at solar filaments, and there are a massive number of filaments here. Huge filaments like this J-shaped one right in the Earth-facing zone. Another filament rising here in the southeast, and another rising in the northeast. So quite a few filaments here. I mean, you have a large portion of the sun here with a lot of filaments. Those absorption features there showing up in the hydrogen alpha imagery from El Teide, Spain's ground-based solar observatory. Part of the National Sunspot Observatory. We use the same site for this that we use for the Gong 2 data that shows the top view ecliptic plane field plot, the coronal hole view, and so on. Here's the last about 2.5 hours from the GO 16 SUVI. Keep an eye on those filaments. They could turn into huge coronal mass ejections. We'll be keeping you posted on that. By the way, we streamed that for over 21 hours yesterday. Should we do it again today? Let us know in the comments. Twitch.tv/smashomash is where we do it. And before we go to bonus features, let's take a look at some more imagery. Here's a composite with 335 plus 131 angstroms. That's the last 24 hours. And here is the house favorite 171 angstroms from SDO. Also the last 24 hours. And before we do bonus features, I would remind you to get a Twitter account. If you ain't got one, get one. And make sure you follow us over on Twitter, twitter.com/smashomash. We'll talk about things besides space weather and not get banned. Yeah, we're not going to get banned from Twitter. So check us out over there. You'll find some great aurora imagery, for example. Also, if you want to support the channel via subscription services, become a gold or silver member at the Smash Team at smashomash.com/smashteam. Thanks to our gold and silver level members. We do put up exclusive content on our own website, smashamash.com/smashteam. You can also find all kinds of links there. Links to our Twitter, links to our YouTube, Instagram, Twitch, PayPal, Discord, even Feces Book. Yes. In 2019, a crack YouTube unit went to social media prison for a crime we didn't commit. We promptly escaped the maximum security social media stockade of the internet underground, where we survive as producers of fortune. If you have a problem, if no one else can help, and if the world has been sucking, and if you can find the content, maybe you can hire the Smash Team. Fix up your health by becoming a member of the American Better Health Organization, otherwise known as SureMed. Links below the video and on the homepage to that. You'll have access to doctors by phone, counselors by phone, virtual veterinarians, save 15 to 50% at the dentist. Save on vision products like LASIK surgery, frames and lenses, eye exams. Health Advocate Solutions can help you find providers and save money on your medical bills. Save on vitamins. Use a mail-order pharmacy to save cash on that. SureMed, a membership through the American Better Health Organization. It's a nonprofit organization. It's not insurance, but it does enable you to add insurance to your base membership if you like. For example, the Plus membership adds accident insurance. So check it out if you want to take charge of your health and make some improvements. SureMed's a great way to do it, adding convenience and savings with a membership. Again, you can find links on the homepage at smashamash.com as well as below the video. And welcome to the Neo Renaissance, where we cite facts and we do things like make Earth not suck again. We're also interested in making America not suck again. And if you think we're political, think again. I'm completely apolitical. I'm a pragmatist. I'm not associated with any political parties, nor have I ever been. I'm interested in things that work. Things that work like our website. If you want to check out some merch, make sure you enter the promo code NOTJUST to save 20%. Store-wide, these are our products in order of best selling. Today's featured product is Mensa, Make Earth Not Suck Again. It's up to you. And that's part of the reason why we make the videos, because we've noticed a lot of suckage on YouTube and so on the internet in general, a lot of crap, a lot of promotion of people who are already ultra rich and famous. And so, hey, make Earth not suck again by helping to promote us and by helping to promote things like accountability, responsibility, freedom and liberty, and so on. Make Earth not suck again. It's up to you, not bureaucracies that can't even get out of their own way. And whether it's corporate bureaucracies or government bureaucracies, some terrible decisions have been made. So do your part in making Earth not suck again. Think global and act local. The great graphics there do feature a link to our .org page, smashomash.org. You can find everything from throw pillows to the ironic mask. I won't make any comments about it, because I don't want to be censored or have the video demonetized. But what I can say safely, without worrying about additional pathetic censorship by big tech organizations, by the way, check our Twitter account for information about those, is Mensa, Make Earth Not Suck Again. And don't forget to enter the promo code NOTJUST to save 20% store-wide at checkout. Don't forget to press like and subscribe if you enjoy the content on YouTube. Remember, folks, join at the Smash Team. Help us out with merch. Thanks to everybody who has helped the channel out over the many years. As we're paid just this side of nothing to put the content on YouTube, press the share button, etc. Press subscribe, press the notification bell. You may even get a notification when we put up a video. Also check our playlists for additional content, like our Pilsner Urquell review. Only 32 views of that. For whatever reason, I guess it's not promoted because reasons. And let's get into our bonus features segment. major charging hazards here from satellites. You may see some significant communications breakdowns as we've got charging hazards all around the world here. Internal charging hazards here around the Indian Ocean and Oceania caused by high-energy electrons getting inside of the circuitry of satellites. Surface charging hazards here caused by low-energy electrons building up on the surfaces of satellites around the Caribbean, Mexico, and moving into the Central Pacific. So we may see communications breakdowns. If you see some weird data, it's not because of Russia and China and electromagnetic pulses and energy weapons and so on. It's because of high-energy electrons. These are the relativistic electrons as measured by the GOES 16 and GOES 17. Those satellites are in a geosynchronous near equatorial orbit, and they measure at the F layer using radiography. So far below where they're located. They're located about 10,000 miles of altitude, and they're measuring the electron flux using radiography at about 300 kilometers of altitude, the location of the F ionosphere layer. We are experiencing very high levels of electron flux here, and it is a typical thing following an extended coronal hole high-speed stream. So that's the last 3 days. GOES 16 and GOES 17's radiographic measurements. Here's the forecast, and NOAA was spot on with the most recent forecast, expecting a little higher levels here at around 10 times warning levels. There's the one-year chart to put that in context. That is from Solon.info, and here is the diagram of the atmosphere showing penetration of electromagnetic radiation, temperatures of the thermosphere, and atmospheric densities of the upper layers of the atmosphere. Feel free to pause the video on this frame. And here's the vibrational frequency and the anomalygram for the ionosphere. We show it daily on the channel. It's a reference so that you don't have to look it up, making things convenient for you by showing the relevant facts about space weather. Here's the anomalygram showing anomaly in megahertz from a 30-day median. We are seeing quite a lot of anomalies here in the past few days of both high and low frequency variety, high frequency shown in blue, low frequency shown in red, as we are in the most geomagnetically active month of the year, September, the month in which the Carrington event occurred. And let's show the latest image here and move on. There's the latest image, 10:15 universal time vibrational frequency in megahertz, 10:15 universal time anomalygram. Next, the total electron content forecast. That'll show you the most likely places for GPS errors. It's showing you all the free electrons all the way up to the inner portion of the outer Van Allen belt. That's from ground level to about 12,500 miles of altitude, the location of your geosynchronous GPS satellites. Some minor nighttime anomalies happening here, mostly constrained to the equator. Things still pretty orderly, as we typically do see fairly orderly total electron content when we have high levels of electron flux. That's the coupled thermosphere, ionosphere, plasmasphere electrodynamics. And here's another diagram to put it in context. Distance is shown here in miles. Feel free to pause the video on this frame if you're not familiar with the altitudes of various things depicted. And let's show a refresh here of the latest intensitygram and the latest colorized magnetogram. So we've got some new sunspots here. Likelihood of solar flares rises a little bit. This is a new sunspot group. This is a new sunspot group. And this down here is, I think, a new sunspot group as well. Yep, there's another, at least one umbra there. So a little solar uptick here happening in the eastern limb. We've got some more imagery for you. We're going to show the 304, 211 plus 171 composite. This is yesterday plus today. And it's time to move to the realm of meteorology, since we've got some interesting weather going on. And I know our viewers have been appreciating our longer videos here, probably because there are so many crappy, pathetic videos on YouTube. So we like to put up facts. Here at the Smash News Network, least busted name in news. So we're looking at sea surface temperatures here. And this tropical storm here is expected to move due north in the coming days. And there's a lot of warm water up there. This system up here, it's not expected to make landfall in the next 72 hours anywhere. We'll show a storm track forecast for that. This one here expected to hit Baja California. It's going to crash into the land there, causing a bit of destruction, as Baja California is of very low altitude. It's a giant sandbar, essentially. And so that's what's going on there. That's sea surface temperature along with wind. So 3 systems there around North America. And let's switch to our regularly scheduled surface winds and jet stream maps. So there are the surface winds of the Far East, Oceania, and the most populated portion of the world right in here. A circle including China and India, over 2 billion people there inside that circle. And hey, Smash staff, why don't you put some clips on TikTok and appeal to those people today? Some strong winds here west of Kamchatka also. Some strong onshore winds there in the Siberian coastline. Here are the jets of the east. Backward jet stream over the West Pacific and the Indian Ocean. Here are the jet streams of the Americas. The western world. Cold air still being injected deep into the southeastern U.S. And a strong anticyclone here just off the coast of western South America there. You see that counterclockwise rotation, the sign of a high-pressure upper-level system in the southern hemisphere. Here are the surface winds. You can see those 3 systems there. This one is going to hit pretty hard on Baja California. Here are the surface winds of the central world. And here are the jet streams. Again, we will show you some forecasts here in a moment. Here's your weather.gov map. If your county is lit, click your county. We've got some gale warnings there. Some gale warnings and small craft advisories on the east coast of the U.S. there, especially the northeast. And some excessive heat. In places like California and Nevada. Red flag warnings in the northwestern U.S. Again, if your county's lit, click your county on weather.gov. And here is your temperature anomaly forecast based on the GFS model for the next 72 hours. Some of that hot weather expected to make it into Minnesota there. Expecting to see 12 degrees Celsius above normal. That's a 72-hour GFS temperature anomaly forecast. Degrees shown here in Celsius. As much as 20 plus degrees Celsius above normal in places like Montana and North Dakota for this time of year. And here's your pressure and precipitation forecast based on the same model. It's showing you the landfall of that hurricane over there at Baja California, and that is going to be dropping some serious moisture. So that's going to cause a bit of damage there for sure. And of course the remnants are going to strike California, so get ready for that also. Tomorrow's forecast will show that information a little more in depth. Here is your pressure in millibars and 10-meter wind in knots, showing you the tracks of those 2 hurricanes in the Atlantic. Again, the one there north of the Caribbean, it's expected to move due north. And that other one making another turn, so it's going from northeast back to a northerly flow. It's actually headed toward the tip of Greenland there. But it is also breaking down as it is over much colder water. At the end of that, that's a GFS 72-hour pressure and wind forecast for the North Atlantic. And here's the current satellite imagery as the sun rises over those cloud tops. From Windy.com. Windy.com is a great mobile app. Check it out if you haven't. Some stormy times in the North Atlantic. And here's your NASA GOES lightning mapper, and quite a bit of lightning here in the southeastern U.S. Also Cuba seeing some heavy lightning. Also Central America and southern Mexico. And here's a real-time lightning map from lightningmaps.org. We do have some terrestrial strikes here in the U.S. Texarkana. Heavy thunderstorm to your south. Red River Army Depot, there's thunder rolling in. That's your most active cell in the U.S. at the moment. Some heavy terrestrial lightning strikes happening right there. And let's take a look at the radar. That's the U.S. Doppler. Some scattered showers continuing in the northeast, it looks like. Let's focus on the lower 48. So highly concentrated storm there in northeast Texas. Here is your shortwave radiation map showing clouds and fog. It looks like that system is going to hit Bermuda directly. It's going to go basically right over Bermuda, and we see it actually gaining a little bit of complexity here. It looks like it's starting to build an eye wall. It does look like the pressure is going to drop on that, so based on the forecast, that thing can intensify. There is a lot of hot water between it and the cold water doesn't start until way up here. This is about the cold water line where the water temperature significantly changes. So that thing's got a free ride there. And some huge pressure gradients happening here over East Texas as cold air is injected into the southeastern U.S. Here's your recap. That's Doppler radar showing vertical motion of water droplets in the air column from the ground-based systems. There is clouds and fog at 3.9 nanometer infrared radiation from the NASA GOES Interactive Weather satellite. And there is water vapor. That should make things pretty definitive. And you can see that moisture there in southern Texas mixing with that colder air from the north. Huge pressure gradients being created over those areas. And thanks for tuning in to the Smash News Network, least busted name in news. I've been your host, Dan, a.k.a. Smash-O-Mash, signing off, imploring you to make Earth not suck again. And may that solar wind be at your back.